My name is Patty Hoban. I'm Director of Financial Aid for Willamette University, as well as our new partner, Pacific Northwest College of Art. And so we will be talking to you today about financial aid, registrar information, as well as student accounts information, what you should be expecting here in the next few weeks, over the course of the next year, basically how things work for you and your student going forward now that they're off to college. For financial aid purposes, most of you are probably pretty much done with the process. And by that, I mean you've received your financial aid award. You have, if you're attending the Willamette campus in Salem, you will already have received your billing statement. And hopefully there were no big surprises either on the financial aid award or the billing statement. Everything was what you expected, and you're either making arrangements to make payments, or you are still working on pulling all of that together. If you're using student loans, hopefully you have accepted those, you've completed the paperwork necessary for those, and so everything should be all good to go. If you are not at all certain where you're at in the financial aid process, then I encourage you to contact our office. Our contact information is easily found on the website. Just go to willamette.edu, in the search box, type in financial aid, and that will get you to us with our emails and contact information. We are not this week on campus, but starting next week, we will be on campus and back to normal functions for the first time in a very long time. Let's see, the other thing I wanted to mention was a lot of students kind of forget about the fact that they still need to purchase books and supplies. So you've been focused on how you're paying for tuition or housing, and then the books and supplies may have been an afterthought. If you have issues and need some help with purchasing books, we do have some book scholarship funding. If you go to the financial aid website, and scroll down toward the bottom of the page, you'll see a box that says, and I wrote it down, need help purchasing your books. And if you click on that, that's the application for our book fund. And we can use that to help students buy books or supplies. All right, so that's me, and I've been rude and not introduced anybody else. With me here today is Kirk Rutledge from Student Accounts, Laura Jacobs-Anderson, and Ron Rutter from Registrar's offices, covering both the Salem campus as well as the PNCA campus in Portland. And the other thing I need to mention is housekeeping business. If you have questions as we're going along, there's a Q&A at the bottom, and so you can submit your questions there. Click on that, submit a question, and we will answer all of those at the end of the session. And I believe that's all of my remarks. If again, if you have questions for me, please put them in the Q&A, and we will respond to those. Next up speaking, I believe, will be Kirk from our Student Accounts office to talk to you about billing and making payments.
Thank you, Patty. Yes, my name is Kirk Rutledge. I'm the Director of Student Accounts. And so what my office does is we are in charge of all the billing for the tuition and fees each semester. The statements go out, the billings actually go out during the fall and the spring semester. So everything will be billed twice during the year. The first billing semester, or the billing statement for fall, will go out in the fall. For the fall, will go out in the first or second week of July. And for the PNCA students, the billing statement will go out probably the first or second week of August. So aside from that, all of our statements will go out on a monthly basis electronically to our Bill Plus payment site. So the most important thing right now for parents to do is to have their student sign them up as an authorized payer on the account. This gives them authorization and access to their student account statement, which will show them what the charges are, will show how much financial aid has been applied, and what the balance is due for each semester. So in order to do that, as I mentioned, you'll need to have your student sign you up as an authorized payer on the account. You can do that by going on with a student who can look at their statement, and there'll be a button there for them to access and list you as an authorized payer just by inputting your email address. You'll then get a notice that you have been given access, and you'll have a temporary password that you can use to sign in and be underway. So a couple of course, you're wondering how you can make payments on the account. So we still accept check, but we do have a new mailing address to our PO box through Wells Fargo. And that is, you would make, if you're sending a paper check, you would send it to Attention Student Accounts, PO Box 24285, Seattle, Washington, 98124, 0285. So if you weren't able to write that down, all this information will be located on our student accounts webpage, which is www.willamette.edu/offices/student accounts. One other thing I wanted to talk about real quick is if you wanted to sign up for a payment plan, we do have payment plans available for a 3-payment or a 4-payment each semester. The 3-payment plan, the payments are due on the 5th of September, October, and November. And if you want to do a 4-payment plan, you could sign up for September, October, November, and December. There's a $30 enrollment fee, but there is no other fees associated with that. So I think that's all the information I have. Like I said, there's going to be a lot of information on our student accounts webpage that will outline all of these procedures. So now I'm going to turn it over to Laura Jacobs-Anderson.
Hey everybody, I'm going to be weird and actually share slides only because I made them. So, you know, I'll share what I made. As Kirk said, my name is Laura Jacobs-Anderson. I'm the University Registrar at Willamette University down here in Salem. I wanted to just give you a quick overview of the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, better known as FERPA, just because it's easier to say. Let's see. FERPA is a federal law that requires educational institutions to protect student records. It's the same law that allowed you to have access to your students' records while they were in high school. That same law, though, says that now that they're enrolled in higher education, regardless of their age, the rights of ownership of those records transfer from parent to student. That's hard to hear, I know, but it's the fact. But please know, please, please, please know that we as an institution value you as partner, you parents and family members as partners in your students' education. But please understand that we can't discuss their education records without their signed authorization, or better yet, their presence when we're talking with you. And that really applies to everyone, from my office to faculty members and advisors to deans, even to President Thorsett. I don't give access to President Thorsett to anyone's records without their signed authorization. And he's never asked, by the way. If you'd like to have your student sign authorization for us to discuss their record with you, there's a link here on the form, and I'll share these slides so that they'll be available on the website. But there's a link there for the form that can be filled out. It can be scanned, or your student can take a photo of it and send it on to our office. The email address is there. And if you're so curious, you're welcome to also read our full education record policy. Or if you just need bedtime reading, it works for that too. And finally, our contact information is here. As Patty said, we too will be back full on in the office starting next week. But until then, we're available over email, or if you call our phone line, we get transcriptions of those phone messages almost immediately. And my direct contact information is there too, if you want to contact me directly. And that's all I had.
And I'm Ron Rutter, the PNCA campus registrar's office. I'm located in Portland, Oregon, and we too have guidance through FERPA. And I just would reiterate that we're happy to work with you and your student as long as they have authorized the release of their records. We can satisfy your needs if necessary. So please, go to the Willamette website, and the forms are there and available. Some students have already probably been submitting their forms through the PNCA admissions office. So you can rest assured that we're working to get that information into their records. We'll be scheduled to, we're going to pause situation for registration. If anyone's parents are here from PNCA, we'll be opening that up in the first week of August for any sort of adjustments to registration. So those students at that time will have access to their student portal area at Willamette. And there'll be more information coming to those students in the next few days. Welcome.
I just had one other thing that I think is applicable for all of us. The main artery of communication that our offices have for your students is their student email address, the @willamette.edu address. PNCA students will have that very shortly. Willamette students were already given that when they were admitted. And so please emphasize for your student that it is extremely important that they keep an eye on that Willamette University email address. They can have it forwarded to another address if they prefer, any number of ways to manage that, but it has to be managed and it cannot be ignored. Financial aid, registrar, student accounts, we all send information that is very important to students. It's not fun. It's not about the latest party going on. It's about you need to do this or bad things will happen. And so no one can possibly get into any kind of trouble or not know what's going on as long as they're paying attention to that Willamette email address. It's only when people ignore it that then they're not aware of deadlines, they're not aware of scholarship opportunities, any number of things. So I would say that is the single most important takeaway that people need to have from this or from any interaction you're having with any of us in the next years, because that's the important one.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Patty.
I'll piggyback on that. I don't send messages just that are fun and like dear students that are open to everyone. I'm really sending like, dear Patty, this is a thing that I need you to know about.
Okay, thanks, panelists. We're going to open it up for questions now. I see some questions in the Q&A. I guess I should stop and introduce myself. I'm Lisa Holliday. I work in the Office of Student Activities, which is the department putting on these various webinars for parents and family members. So thanks for being here. And I see a few questions in the Q&A, and feel free to add more questions as we go through. But I will be fielding these and passing them off to the panelists. I think this is a question for Kirk. In an earlier document, I thought I saw that you accept credit cards. Is that no longer the case?
Sorry about that. I was typing an answer to one of the questions.
Okay.
Yes, we do accept credit cards through the Bill Plus payment site. And they will charge you 2.85% on top of the payment, which is charged by PayPath. So please keep that in mind. They will, if you choose to do that, they will show you what the service fee will cost, and you can either accept or decline at that time, and your payment would not go through. But that is the only way that we can accept credit cards, is through the online Bill Plus payment site.
Thank you. There's one question here that I can answer real quick, and that is, will the recording of the July 21st session, which was on student well-being, be available soon? And yes, it will. We are adding closed captioning to that video, and then we'll be adding it to the website in the next couple of days. So sorry for the delay. The next question I believe is for Patty, and that is, can I pay for the first semester in full and apply for a Parent Plus loan for the second semester?
Yes, the short answer is yes. And you can apply for that spring loan now, later, probably want to do it sometime between now and December. Make sure that you specify to us that is for spring only. If we don't know any differently, we will set it up for the full year. But yes, that's absolutely possible.
Okay, this one is for Laura. Do the records release forms cover the year or just one inquiry?
I should unmute. Either. There are two checkboxes on the bottom of the form, either for single use or continuous. And if your student marks continuous, it means for the entirety of their enrollment at Willamette University. We don't make people do it every year. So it's good until they tell us it's not.
Okay, this next one I believe is for Patty. I have a tuition exchange arrangement as a faculty at another university. Will I get a revised statement from WU once my university makes those arrangements? And when does that happen?
Yes, it is. There are different kinds of those arrangements. Some of them are handled more through the Student Accounts Office, which is Kirk's world, and others come through as financial aid, as a scholarship. So that would be the first question, depending on how that's happening. But yes, when we receive a notification from your employer that you are qualifying for this benefit, we will update the financial aid award to include that benefit. And then that would be reflected as pending financial aid on your billing information when you look at that. So in terms of when that happens, that will be kind of dependent on when your employer contacts us with that information. And if you're not sure about who needs to connect with who, probably just give me a call or send me an email separately, and we can get it figured out if it's between student accounts or financial aid.
Okay, here's a question for Ron. Ron, for PNCA students, if we are using 529 funds and having funds sent directly from the bank, where should we have it sent? Like, I know that's not a registrar question, but I thought you might know the answer to that. Or Patty.
I don't know the answer to that. I think that's more of a financial aid question. I think it would come to the PNCA location if it.
Does anyone know that, the 529?
Yeah, Kirk, correct me if I'm wrong, but the 529 payments come in basically like a regular payment. They're just coming from a different source. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. A lot of times the 529 plan will either mail a paper check directly to the university, but more often than not, they're sending electronic wire payment directly to the bank.
And so if it's a PNCA student, that should still go through the regular Willamette process for making a payment, correct?
Yes, it should.
Okay, so those, the 529 entity should be directed to send that money to the same address as you would send a regular payment.
Yes, that's correct.
And I apologize, as we have to coordinate some of this. This merger is new for all of us, but so we may not immediately know off the top of our heads, but we will get the answer to you no matter what.
Kirk, there's a few questions on here about the frequency of statements from student accounts. So for example, if they fill out the form for health insurance stating they have coverage that is sufficient, how soon do they receive a revised bill? Or if there is a change that's made in general to a student's bill, how often do they get a revised statement?
Okay, that's a good question. We do send out electronic statements once a month, which will show all of the updates that have happened from the previous statement. But as an authorized user, you will be able to log into the Bill Plus payment system and click on account activity, which will show you anything that has changed on a daily basis. So you'll see it, for instance, if your insurance waiver got posted, you'll see that credited to your account. You'll be able to see what the new balance due is. If any new financial aid gets posted to the account, you'll be able to see that deducted from the balance. So this is just a running total, which is how I recommend that you look at your charges, because it's up to date instead of a static statement.
Kirk, before you mute yourself again, there's just a general question about when are payments due? Are they due at the end of August? Just wanting clarification.
Yeah, August 30th will be the due date for the fall semester.
Thank you. Okay, Patty, a couple of questions have come in about work study. First of all, should students have already applied for work study placement? And oh shoot, I lost the other one, but if you could just explain how work study works.
Sure, absolutely. No, students would not necessarily have needed to already apply. In fact, the job board is probably just getting populated now as departments remember that we're coming back to work and they need student employees. So typically our career services office will send out an email to your students that explains the link where they can click to see what jobs are available. That's through a system called Handshake. The link is also available on the Willamette University website under career services. And that will list out everything, all the opportunities for students on campus, as well as enable them to be able to apply for those jobs online. And we encourage students, incoming students especially, to go ahead and apply as early as you can. So when you get that email from Career Services, go ahead and start scoping them out if you plan to work on campus. Jobs, there are plenty of jobs, but they do go kind of quickly. So if you were thinking of getting to campus and getting settled and waiting 2-3 weeks and then looking for a job, you can probably still find a job, but it may not be your first choice of jobs.
Okay, Kirk, some more questions about how scholarships and grants are posted to the student account or college savings plan payments.
Okay, are we talking about like private scholarships? And if so, those will be sent to the financial aid office and they will record that they have received those. And then those funds will be posted to the student account. And what was the other question regarding?
Do college savings plan payments go through the student account for payment to WU or directly to WU?
Yeah, the 529 college saving plan payments will go directly to Like I mentioned earlier, either it's a paper check that gets mailed to Willamette University, or it's a wire payment that the 529 plan sends to our bank, which then our cashier will post back to the student account.
I would just add to piggyback on that, all other types of financial aid, federal grants, state grants, Willamette University scholarships, student loans, everything will be posted to the student's account to offset tuition and fees, assuming that all of the paperwork for financial aid has been taken care of. So if you're not sure if everything's been taken care of, that'd be a good opportunity to contact our office.
Okay, Patty, is work study part of the financial aid award, or is it an option for all students?
Some students who qualify are awarded federal work study, so that is a specific type of financial aid and is awarded. But Willamette University also has our own student employment budget. And so all of the jobs that you see available on the job board through Handshake are open to students who either have a specific federal work study award or who don't. So if you weren't awarded federal work study through the financial aid process, you can still apply for a job on campus and you'll be considered for it just like anybody else.
Kirk, can you tell us what the student insurance admin fee is for?
Yeah, that would probably be best answered by Savannah Crail at the Bishop Wellness Center. She handles all of the student health insurance, and she could be able to explain that more thoroughly.
Okay, sounds good. There were a couple of questions here about textbooks, and while this session has been going, I looked this up really quick. There was a question about how do you know what books to purchase for your classes? And if you go to the Willamette bookstore website, there's actually a little drop-down menu where you select the semester that you're enrolled, the class name that you're enrolled in, and then it tells you which books you need for your course. And then you can purchase books, you can rent books through the Willamette store. You can wait until classes begin and see what is available just through other students. There's really no specific timeline. It's really, what your personal choice is. And if you want to, go through an online source that's not the Willamette store. So it's really personal preference. But in terms of what books are required for your classes, if you go to the Willamette store website, that will be something that you can figure out. There was also another question about how early we can place orders for pickup at the Willamette store. And I don't know the answer to that question. Does anybody know? Okay, so that I think would be best directed to the Willamette store, which again, they have a website that you can access through the willamette.edu website in the search bar. Okay, another question here. Let's see, a lot of questions about books. Let's see. Do you have sources? This is for Patty. Do you have sources for private loans for parents who can't or do not want to co-sign for loans?
Most private loans do require that the student have a co-signer. I don't know offhand, off the top of my head, if there are any that they change their requirements quite frequently. That one, I would suggest go ahead and send an email if you don't mind to our office. The email address it's on our website, but it's finaid, FINAID @willamette.edu, and then we can dig in and let you know if we know of any at this time that do not require a cosigner.
There's a question here about student jobs available on Handshake, which is the student job board online. Most jobs that are offered are for the academic year. But there will be other opportunities that are available next semester if you don't want to work this semester or you want to wait a little bit. So you can be checking Handshake regularly for new opportunities throughout the academic year. Okay, I'm not seeing any additional questions in here. Oh, one more for about work study, Patty. Does the work study amount get applied to the tuition bill for those students who have the federal work study grant?
No, federal work study earnings are paid directly to the student as they work the hours and earn them. And then the student can use that for whatever expenses they have. So it's entirely possible for, let's say you've set up a payment plan and then the student is going to work during the year and funnel that money into their student account via the payment plan, but it doesn't happen automatically.
Okay. I think that's all the questions that we have in the Q&A. There was one question directed personally to Patty that she can respond to privately. But otherwise, I think that's all for now. Please feel free to reach out to any of the offices here if you have questions. If you're not sure who to contact, just pick up the phone and call the admission office or call, an office that you already have experience with perhaps, and then they can direct you to any other offices on campus that you might need. But we're here to help. Any question you might have, please don't hesitate. And like we said earlier, these webinars are all available on the Willamette website. If you've missed any of our previous webinars, feel free to access. We have the slideshows as well as the recordings. And again, just welcome to our community, and we look forward to seeing you all soon on campus. Thank you.